Hey guys, welcome back to another video on Ball Golf TV. I'm Silas Stenerson, and today I'm going to show you what's in my bag for the 2020 season, or the end of the 2020 season actually. So let's start off with putting putters. I only have one of them right now, but right now I recently switched to DX Glow AVRs, nice little pumpkin stamp. I was using soft links, but I switched to these right around 2 weeks ago, and these just feel a lot more glidier and a lot better for my kind of putting, since I like to putt with hyzer, and links are a little bit too, I guess, overstable for me. So yeah, I made the switch to these AVRs and I'm liking it a lot. So that's that's my putting putter, and then I'm gonna switch to throwing putters / mid ranges. Least overstable or most unstable is this XO hard link that I will use for turnover backhands when I need to. Nice little flick turnovers if I'm ever in that kind of situation. Hard link. It's one of my favorites for backhands and turnover forehands. And then next up in speed and stability, I have two tactics. One is a XO soft tactic. It's very beat in. It's hit a lot of trees, but it's still in my bag. And this is one that I throw on the tee pretty often, more than my other one, which I'll get into now. This is my Eagle McMahon Signature Series tactic, the Vapor Razor Claw, and this is probably my go-to for anything inside of 230-ish feet when forehand approaches, and then if I ever need to do some kind of backhand hyzer around or in 200 feet, this is probably what I'm going to be pulling out. Next up, I only have one mid-range in the bag right now, and it's a Swirl S-Line MD5. Shout out to Kai, he gave me this one. This is one that I'm probably going to be using, that I'm going to use inside anything probably around the 230 to 260-ish range, where it's a little bit too far for my Razor Claw, but I'm probably going to disc up to an MD5. Now let's get on to, I have one Fairway Driver in the bag, because I have a couple that are just out right now that I either lost or don't have in. This is a T-Bird 3, Star T-Bird 3. The plastic is a little bit tacky, but I use this thing anything probably around 240 to 280, where I just need it to go dead straight and then have a little bit of fade at the end. And then onto the bridge between like distance drivers and fairway drivers. Let's start with speed. The only 9-speed I have in my bag right now is this 2020 Sexton Firebird, and you could say this is my favorite disc in my bag. I have had this thing in my bag for around 3 months, maybe 4, but this is beating in extremely fast, and it's getting almost a little bit too understable for me, where I think I'm going to need to replace it. But it's my only ace disc. I actually have 4 aces on it, but yeah, this is probably my favorite and go-to disc in my bag right now. And then on to 10 speeds, most understable to most overstable. First off, with the understable, I have a C-Line TD that I use for turnover forehands, because obviously it's pretty much the flippiest disc in my bag, and the only one that I will use for turnover forehands, or if I need to, for some reason, use a backhand. This is something that I'm considering when I have to throw a backhand, which is pretty rare for me, but yeah, turnover forehands mostly. Next up in stability is a Color Glow C-Line PD, Avery Jenkins Dark Mall 2. This one I use, it's pretty straight to overstable, but I can get it to go straight for about 250 and then bend right the last 30 to 40 feet. But I use this anything from around 280 to 330 at the top that I can probably get it to is around 330. But yeah, this one, I really like the feel of the Color Glow plastic in my hand. It feels really, really nice and tacky. And then most overstable, I have a Star Invictus 172. This is when I need something to go super duper far right for forehands, anything inside of 250 to 300. And when I have to do forehand rollers, this is my go-to for forehand rollers, because it's just so stable and it holds for so long, and I know it's going to finish left. Next up, the distance drivers. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fairway driver or distance drivers in the bag right now. Most understable to most overstable. Start with the understable ones. This is a 167 Star Strike, which is pretty flippy, and this is probably my farthest driving backhand disc that I use, and then flip up forehands that I want to get around 350 to 370 range is a flip up forehand, and obviously only in like a tailwind or no wind at all. And then next up in stability, I have a 172 Star Destroyer. This one is pretty straight. It doesn't really go left, it doesn't really go right. I can throw it flat and it'll just ride straight for about 320 to 330 and then just kind of fade out right at the end. Next up, these ones are pretty similar. I have a Metal Flake Millennium Quantium Scorpius. This is a disc that I use for forehand turnovers that I want to get to around 330, maybe into the 340 range. But yeah, this is one that I mainly only throw for turnovers and I guess sometimes straight or hyzer flip shots. But yeah, it's not really, it's like a destroyer, but I think it's a little bit less understable. Next up is a Champion Destroyer, 175 max weight. This one, it's pretty straight to maybe slightly unstable, but I can get this thing, just throw it flat on a baby anhyzer, baby flex, and then get it to go about 340 to 350 mostly. Next up, my other favorite disc in my bag, my farthest flying disc, is going to be the Cloudbreaker 2 S-Line DD3. And this is one, Kai gave this to me as well, and this thing is my farthest flying disc. Anything in the open, headwinds, I'm probably going to be throwing this thing, and this is normally, on a good day, around 360 to 390 for me. Yeah, it just feels super nice in the hand, and it has a lot of glide. One of my favorite distance drivers. Next up, this is a 175 Star Destroyer that is pretty beat in. This is one of the discs that I've had for a long time in my bag, and it's probably my most overstable destroyer of the 3 that I have in my bag, and I use this one a lot in the woods more than I do out in the open. But yeah, this is probably my woods destroyer that I would use the most. Lastly, there's 2 left. They're both 11 speeds. First off is a pink Ken Climo 12x Star Wraith. This one I use for flex forehands anywhere from 330 to 360. But normally if I have to do a flex shot with a little bit of headwind and just have to make sure to get something over and then have it come back, I'm normally going to reach for this Star Wraith. And then one of the most overstable discs in my bag for a distance driver is this S-Line DD that, shout out to Broston, he gave me this one. But yeah, this is probably one of my most overstable discs in my bag, and I use this is another disc that I use for woods golf, but most of the time I don't throw a flex with this. This is just all hyzer as far as I can, or just trying to get as right as possible, but also get up and then go right. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the discs in my bag. I don't have a lot right now, but yeah, thank you guys for watching, and leave a like and subscribe.